Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Monday Night Football. We got two games here. Going to go through both of them. As far as Sunday goes, man, disappointing because I came into this day with some momentum, had a great week. Started off college football Saturday rough, ended up turning it around and turning it into a winning day. So I had all this momentum coming into Sunday. Not my day, man. I'm sitting at 2-4 right now. I can still get the Jets, and that is my top bet. So if I get Jets minus 1.5, it actually wasn't a bad day at all, and I'm overreacting. But yeah, as a whole, today did not go my way. Let's turn that around. Community parlay hit, by the way, for Sunday morning. The community remains hot. The community home run props are hitting. I mean, the community's been on fire. So congrats to you guys for hitting your community parlay. But yeah, two Monday Night Football games. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Ravens-Bucks in Tampa. Bucks are catching 3.5 points at home. Total sitting at 49.5 or 50. I actually see a 50.5 as well. So anywhere in between 49.5 and 50.5. Let's take a look at the pie charts. And as you would expect, according to this data, action's coming in pretty heavily on the Baltimore side. Almost 70% of the tickets and over 60% of the money coming in on the Ravens. As I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. So let's get into this matchup, and we'll start with the Ravens offense. I mean, on paper, looking like arguably the best offense in the NFL. First in yards per play, first in overall DVOA, passing numbers pretty much top 3 across the board, rushing numbers pretty much top 3 across the board, and they seem to be heating up. In their last 4 games, they're averaging almost 35 points per game. 7.7 yards per play is crazy, over a 54% success rate. So yeah, the Baltimore offense has been humming. And they're matched up against a Tampa Bay defense that's been a little underwhelming, although they are playing a little bit better as of late. But they're pretty middle of the pack here when it comes to most of their numbers. 14th in yards per play, 24th in success rate, 16th in EPA, 11th in overall defensive DVOA. I will say, I was talking about this Bucs run defense, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, and I was saying, hey, this Bucs team can't stop the run. It looks like Tampa is kind of making me eat my words. And you know what? Let's start with the run defense because obviously Baltimore wants to run it, right? Look what the Bucs have done against the run in their last 2 games. Against the Saints and the Falcons, allowing just 77 rushing yards per game, 3.9 yards per carry, 31% success rate per rush. So they've been elite against the run in their last 2 games. And you know what? When it comes to the Bucs run defense, this is where I think I was wrong. So I said I don't trust this Bucs run defense that you can run on the Bucs, right? Well, if you look at their opponents, I mean, 4 of their 6 games have been against top 5 rushing attacks. They've played 4 of the top 5 rushing attacks so far this year. Washington, 4th. Detroit, 2nd. Then Denver, just 27th. Philadelphia, 5th. Atlanta, 3rd. Even New Orleans is sitting at 12th, although with the injuries to the offensive line, we know New Orleans isn't 12th. They're sitting at 12th because of what they did in the first 2 weeks of the season. But still, in the Bucs' 6 games, they've seen 4 of the top 5 rushing attacks, and now they play number 1. So after this game, in their first 7 games, the Bucs will have seen the top 5 rushing attacks, which is just a crazy start to the season schedule-wise. I will say, though, we got to give them some credit. Back-to-back games, the Bucs have played really good defense against the run. And it's definitely good news that this defense is finally looking healthy. If you remember, Kancey missed, I think it was the first 4 or 5 games of the season. He just came back last week. So Kancey's back on the defensive line. Vita Vea being questionable definitely sucks, but he's kind of been questionable all year. He's been banged up. He did miss Saturday's practice, which is a concern. But he's been, like I said, he's been missing practices all year. He's the veteran on the defense. He can miss practices and still play. We'll have to wait and see. If he does play, I do think Tampa is equipped to give Baltimore some problems running the ball. Now, they're not going to shut this run game down, but I do think they can give it some problems. Now, if you're betting the Ravens, you like this matchup here. Baltimore runs a lot of gap concept blocking schemes, 8th most in the NFL. They're very good at it, 6th in yards per carry, 2nd in success rate. That plays directly into the weakness of the Bucs run defense, 27th in yards per carry, 23rd in success rate against gap concept blocking schemes. So like I said, there's no way Tampa's just going to shut this run game down. It's too good, but I do like the way the Bucs have played against the run in their last 2 games, and I do think at home here they are able to at least limit the Baltimore rushing attack. But honestly, we also have to look at the passing numbers because Lamar Jackson is playing out of this world right now. In his last 4 games, Baltimore's passing numbers, over 252 passing yards per game, 9.9 yards per attempt, over 65% Success rate per dropback is wild, an average passer rating of 126.8. Lamar Jackson absolutely killing it through the air recently. We do have to point out one thing, though, and if you're a Lamar Jackson hater, you'll love this. People love to hate on this guy. I'm not trying to pick apart what Lamar Jackson's doing. I've bet on Baltimore a couple times this year. We do have to at least point at the defenses he's seen. Look at the Ravens' opponents' pass defense DVOA ranking. So these are the pass defenses that Lamar Jackson has seen so far this year. Kansas City, 12th. Okay, respectable. Raiders, 24th. Cowboys, 25th. Buffalo, 13th. Respectable. Cincinnati, 19th. Washington, 29th. So we at least have to mention the fact that he's seen a lot of really easy pass defenses. I mean, most of his games have been against pass defenses in the bottom half, even the bottom 10, 11 in the NFL. On paper, Tampa Bay's pass defense will be his toughest test yet. They're 10th in yards per pass attempt allowed this year, 24th in success rate, 13th in EPA, 9th in DVOA. So up to this point, Kansas City at 12th was his toughest opponent in terms of pass defenses. Tampa Bay's 9th. So it looks like this is going to be Lamar Jackson's toughest test so far this year, right? I mean, 9th in DVOA, first time playing a top 10 pass defense. But here's the thing. Tampa runs a lot of zone coverage and a lot of cover 3. First in zone coverage frequency, 4th in cover 3 frequency. Why is that significant? Lamar Jackson cooks on zone coverage, 2nd in passer rating amongst 42 qualified quarterbacks, 4th in yards per pass attempt against cover 3, 6th in passer rating, 3rd in yards per attempt. The Bucs pretty much run nothing but zone, and they run a ton of cover 3. Lamar Jackson, elite throwing numbers against those two defenses. Now, we do need to point out a lot of these numbers are coming against the Commanders cover 3, the Cowboys cover 3, Cincinnati's cover 3. Tampa Bay's cover 3 is significantly better than those other defenses, but if you're a Bucs fan or you plan on betting Tampa here, it's definitely not a good sign that Lamar Jackson has elite throwing numbers against your defense. Now, when it comes to the pass rush, this is another area where I feel like I have to apologize to the Bucs, and someone kind of called me out on it in the comments. So I think it was last week. I was like, this Bucs pass rush isn't any good, and it must have been a Bucs fan commented, was like, you're sleeping on the Bucs pass rush, like we're coming. I forget exactly what he said, and I just kind of brushed it off. I mean, everyone thinks their favorite NFL team is sweet. That's whatever. Oh, you think your favorite team has an elite pass rush? Okay. But I actually was looking at it. They're 21st in pressure rate on the year, 13th in pass rush grade. They are 13th in pressure rate in the last 2 weeks. So the pass rush, as that defense gets healthier, remember, I said they had a couple pieces banged up. Logan Hall was also banged up. He's healthy now. So as they're getting healthier, the pass rush is improving. They're 13th in pressure rate in the last 2 weeks, so maybe the Bucs pass rush is trending in the right direction. But still, I don't know how much of a factor it's going to be in this one. I mean, Lamar Jackson's fine at handling pressure. He's 5th in pressure to sack rate, so he doesn't take a lot of sacks. Just 6.5 yards per attempt, so maybe he doesn't get the ball downfield a ton when you get pressure on him. But I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over. He's got a passer rating over 100 when pressured. So even if the Bucs pass rush is trending in the right direction, Ravens have a solid offensive line in terms of pass protection. They're pretty middle of the pack, and Lamar Jackson's been fine handling pressure. So I don't think there's much of an angle there. Overall, handicapping this side of the ball comes down to your opinion of Lamar Jackson. This is going to be a tough test for him. Monday Night Football on the road against the toughest pass defense he's seen. If he's the real deal, he should cook against this coverage that he's been throwing on all year. If you're a Lamar Jackson hater and you're looking for an opportunity to fade Lamar Jackson, this is a decent spot to do it against this Bucs defense. So it comes down to really what you think of Lamar Jackson. Personally, I think the Bucs are going to surprise everyone and take the run game away from Baltimore. Lamar Jackson probably will be able to make some plays through the air, though. I'm not looking to fade this Ravens offense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do have some problems here. Now, what about the other side of the ball? And look out, Baltimore isn't the only elite offense playing in this game. This Tampa Bay offense is nuts. They're 5th in the NFL in yards per play, 3rd in success rate, 6th in EPA, 10th in DVOA. Passing numbers, maybe not that surprising. I mean, Baker Mayfield was great last year. They're loaded with receivers. It shouldn't be that much of a shock to us that Tampa Bay has an elite passing attack, maybe a top 5 passing attack in the NFL, 7th, 1st, 8th, and 9th. It's the run game. Where did that come from? 2nd in yards per carry, 10th in success rate per rush, 5th in EPA, 10th in rushing DVOA. The Bucs have a top 10 rushing attack. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Now, when we match them up against Baltimore's defense, we can kind of just forget what we just said about the Bucs run defense. They're not going to be able to run the ball in this game, or at least they're going to have trouble doing so. Baltimore's been elite against the run all year. This is the best run defense in the NFL so far. I'm sure things will change as the year goes on, but based on what we've seen so far, the Ravens have the best run defense in the NFL. They're 1st in yards per carry. But Look at their numbers against the pass. This is what we call a mismatch. Tampa Bay, top 10, maybe even a top 5 passing attack. Baltimore's been struggling to defend the pass all year. 26 in yards per pass attempt allowed, 22nd in success rate, 27th in EPA, 18th in DVOA. This Baltimore defense overall is sitting at 13th in DVOA. This is a slightly above average defense so far this year. Now, just like I was saying about the Bucs run defense earlier, how they've been unlucky, they played a ton of elite rushing attacks, we might have to cut the Ravens pass defense the same sort of slack. Look at their last 3 opponents. Buffalo, 3rd in passing DVOA. Cincinnati, 6th in passing DVOA. Washington, 4th. So just like how the Bucs have seen a ton of elite rushing attacks, the Ravens have also seen some elite passing attacks, some elite quarterbacks. Also the Chiefs, this is just the last 3, so it's not listed here. They also saw Mahomes. So the Ravens pass defense is probably not as bad as the numbers indicate, but still, we look at these numbers, they've played 3 consecutive top 6 passing attacks. That's not changing. They're playing the Bucs. The Bucs are sitting at 9th in DVOA, probably a top 5 passing attack. The thing is, with this Baltimore pass defense, I thought we had turned a corner on that Sunday night football game against Buffalo. I had the Ravens, I think, -2 as my top bet that night. They shut Josh Allen down, and we were all like, okay, the Ravens pass defense isn't this bad, right? We're like, okay, that was just a weird start. The Ravens are going to go back to being a good pass defense again. Look at the 2 games since then. It's been the opposite. They've gotten cooked through the air in 2 consecutive games. Washington and Cincinnati, over 330 passing yards allowed per game, 8.9 yards per attempt, over a 57% success rate per dropback, average passer rating of 123.6. So I don't even know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel here for Baltimore defending the pass. I mean, they've got talent in the secondary. I'm sure they'll figure it out. And I mean, they are generating some pressure. It's not like they have no pass rush. They're 17th in pressure rate, 7th in pass rush grade, 9th in adjusted sack rate. So they do have a pass rush. It's not the pass rush fault. For whatever reason, they just can't cover anybody. And to make the matchup even scarier for Baltimore's secondary here, Tampa Bay's offensive line has been elite in pass protection. They're 2nd in the NFL in pressure rate allowed, 7th in pass blocking grade. They're back at 23rd in adjusted sack rate, but that's not on the offensive line. Baker Mayfield just keeps holding on to the ball too long. And if we pull up some Baker Mayfield splits, you'll see that big red 37 under his face, 37th in pressure to sack rate. That's been his Achilles heel this whole season. He holds on to the ball. He's taken a ton of sacks. 27.9% pressure to sack rate is bad. That being said, other than that, his numbers are looking pretty solid here. Look at his numbers when given a clean pocket. 113.8 passer rating. That's 4th best in the NFL. So this elite Bucs pass protection is going to give him time. This Ravens secondary is having trouble covering receivers. I don't see any reason Baker Mayfield doesn't go off here. Now, the big question here we need to answer are these numbers right here. The Tampa Bay rushing numbers from the last 4 games, because these are nuts. 6.4 yards per carry in their last 4 games, over 160 rushing yards per game, 44% success rate per rush. Tampa Bay out of nowhere looking like one of the strongest run games in the NFL. Now, they did play the Eagles. They can't defend the run. They did play the Falcons. They can't defend the run this year. They did play the Saints. They can't defend the run. But there is Denver in there. So, yes, we have to point out they've played some bad run defenses. Baltimore is definitely not a bad run defense. On the season, they're allowing 59.3 rushing yards per game. This isn't week 3, where that's a 2-game sample size. This is a 6-game sample size. Baltimore on the season is allowing 59.3 rushing yards per game, 3.1 yards per carry, 25.2% success rate per rush. So I'm happy for Tampa. They found themselves a little bit of a run game. It's adorable. Very seriously doubt it's going to be here in this one. So where does that leave me in terms of placing a bet? Well, I can tell you I do not feel comfortable laying the 3.5-4 with Baltimore here on the road, but I also am not super comfortable fading the Ravens either. I think my favorite angle in this one is I like Baker Mayfield to take advantage of that struggling Baltimore secondary. I think he's going to have time to throw. Whatever's going on with that Baltimore defense, whether it's they miss Mike McDaniels or the players aren't gelling or it's the play calling, I don't know. Whatever's going on with that Baltimore secondary, they're going to have to show me that it's fixed before I put faith in them. So I like the Bucs to move the ball and score points. So I'm going to bet Tampa Bay team total over 20.5. You can get it at plus 100. If you put a gun to my head and force me to take a side, I would take the points with Tampa. There's a couple plus 4s available. I'd take one of those plus 4s. So my pick against the spread would be Bucs plus 4. But I'm going to stick with my team total. I like the Bucs to score some points in this game. So give me Bucs team total over 24.5. I also like the game to go over the total as well. Next game, Chargers, Cardinals in Arizona. We get the Cards as short home dogs here, plus 1.5 across the board. Total sitting at 44 or 44.5, depending on your sports book. Let's take a look at the pie charts, and according to this data, we're pretty split. Pretty split 50-50 on this one, and pretty much have been all week. So according to this data, which you should take with a grain of salt, the action's coming in split on this one. All right, so let's talk about this matchup, and we'll start with the Chargers offense, as I'm sure you probably know, hasn't been great this year. 25th in the NFL in yards per play, 28th in success rate, 22nd in EPA. Passing numbers not great, rushing numbers not great. Pretty much bottom 10 across the board here for the Chargers. But I have some good news for the Bolts. They're matched up against the Cardinals defense, who are somehow even worse. 27th in yards per play, 32nd in success rate, 29th in EPA, 23rd in DVOA. Here's the thing when it comes to the Cardinals defense, though. We may have to cut this unit a bit of slack. Look at their schedule so far this year. This is the Cardinals' opponents' offensive DVOA ratings. Buffalo, 3rd. Rams, 14th. Detroit, 4th. Washington, 2nd. San Francisco, 7th. Green Bay, 5th. Out of the Cardinals' 6 games, they played 5 of the top 7 offenses in the NFL. The Rams was their easiest game defensively. Playing the Rams offense was their easiest game. So, look, I'm not trying to say this Cardinals defense is good. I'm just saying maybe we need to cut them a bit of slack. They've been through the gauntlet. Every single one of their games is against a top 5 offense. Holy shit. The only game the Cardinals have played this year against an offense that isn't in the top 10 is the Rams. They won that game 41-10. And by the way, the Rams aren't even a bad offense. They're 14th. So this matchup against the Chargers, by far the Cardinals defense, easiest matchup of the year. And this is a Chargers offense that isn't even healthy. Gus Edwards is obviously out. DJ Chark is obviously out. Quentin Johnson most likely going to miss this game. And Ladd McConkey's out. Well, I'm sorry. Ladd McConkey is questionable, and he's been practicing. So I think McConkey's going to play. But Justin Herbert missing a lot of his weapons here for this one. And I know there are some question marks on the Cardinals defense as well, but all 4 of these guys that are listed as questionable, they've all been practicing all week. In fact, none of the 4 of them have missed a single practice. So I would imagine all 4 of these guys are going to play. I think the Cardinals defense should be at full strength here. So can Arizona take advantage of finally playing a bad offense? Well, we know this Chargers offense wants to run the ball. They're 3rd in rushing frequency so far, 26th in pace. So they want to run the ball. They want to chew the clock. The problem is this Chargers offensive line is supposed to be a top 10 unit. It doesn't look like it at all. 28th in adjusted line yards, 19th in run blocking grade, 8th in yards before contact. Now they should still have the advantage over the Cardinals defensive front in this one. In fact, in the last 3 games, the Cardinals are allowing 5.6 yards per carry over 183 rushing yards per game. 38.2% success rate per rush is actually pretty good, though. But yeah, this Cardinals run defense has struggled. But the thing is, with the Chargers run game, I don't know how good it is. It started off the season looking great, right? After 2 games, they're averaging over 200 rush yards per game, 6.1 yards per carry. We're like, oh shit, Dobbins and Gus Edwards, this is working. Since then, in their last 3 games, they're averaging just 3.1 yards per carry, just 82.3 rushing yards per game. 30.5% success rate per rush is terrible. Now, those 3 games were against Pittsburgh, Kansas City, who, by the way, the Chiefs have played the run great this year, and Denver. 3 great defenses. Obviously, all defenses that are much better than Arizona's, but I don't like the fact that the Chargers are coming into this one with no momentum running the ball right now. They haven't been able to run the ball at all recently. Also, Chargers run a lot of gap concept blocking schemes, 7th most in the NFL. That actually plays into the strength of the Cardinals defense. They've been getting gashed up by zone blocking schemes. Against gap concept blocking schemes, they're actually okay. 19th in yards per carry, 8th in success rate per rush. So I know a lot of people are probably looking at this matchup like, oh, Chargers have just been playing really tough run defenses. Now that they're playing the Cardinals, they should be able to run the ball. I actually don't think so. I actually think it's a nice buy low spot on the Cardinals defense. I think they're able to give the Chargers run game some problems here. The question is, are they able to stop Justin Herbert from piecing them up? And good luck trying to answer that. The Cardinals pass defense on the year, not good at all. They're allowing 8.1 yards per pass attempt. Over a 67% success rate per dropback is terrible. Over 230 passing yards per game. So this Cardinals pass defense has not been good. That being said, look at who they've played. Are you kidding me with this? Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels. That was supposed to be the easy game. Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. This defense cannot catch a break. They're playing an elite quarterback every single week. So in my opinion, we have no idea how good or how bad this Cardinals pass defense is. I mean, there would be a lot of defenses in the NFL that would have terrible numbers against the pass if they play an elite quarterback every single week. That's a crazy start to the season for the Cardinals defense. So do we consider Justin Herbert on that list? Are they playing another elite quarterback? And that's another question that's really tough to answer. I mean, he's been pretty efficient. Chargers passing numbers on the season, 50.6% success rate per dropback. That's good. Just 6.6 yards per pass attempt, 167.8 passing yards per game. I mean, that's not much production through the air at all. Really tough to make a prediction on this side. I mean, when's the last time we saw Justin Herbert have a big game throwing the ball? It's been a while, but it's not like he's been bad. He just hasn't been dropping back to pass much. He hasn't taken many shots downfield. Now, he's going to have time to throw. Cardinals pass rush hasn't been any good. 28th in pressure rate, 29th in pass rush grade, 23rd in adjusted sack rate. And that's huge because Justin Herbert has been terrible handling pressure this year. I mean, rock bottom numbers, 32nd in yards per attempt, 27th in passer rating, 37th in turnover-worthy play rate. So he should have clean pockets to throw from, or at least we think he should, because the Chargers offensive line hasn't really been that good, as we said before. Just 16th in pressure rate, 26th in pass blocking grade, 21st in adjusted sack rate. In my opinion, I think the Cardinals are able to limit the Chargers on the ground. I don't think this Chargers run game is very good. I think they racked up some numbers against the Raiders and the Panthers early in the year. They haven't been able to run the ball at all since then. So I think the Cardinals run defense can surprise us and give the Chargers some problems getting the run game going. But as far as predicting Justin Herbert against the Cardinals secondary, I mean, it's such a mystery on both sides. We haven't seen Justin Herbert do much this year. But then again, the Cardinals pass defense has gotten cooked so many times. But then again, they've played an elite quarterback every single week. So I feel like I have no feel for whether or not Justin Herbert's going to be able to throw the ball in the Cardinals or not. I mean, such a toss-up making a prediction in that department. But what about the other side, the Cardinals offense? As we know, this is an offense that wants to run the ball. Numbers are looking pretty good. 9th in yards per play, 13th in success rate, 13th in EPA, 15th in DVOA. They're second in the NFL in yards per carry, 14th in success rate per rush, 18th and 21st in those two metrics on the right there. They're going to have their hands full in this one because the Chargers defense looks great. 8th in yards per play, or we think it looks great. We'll talk about it in a second. These numbers are excellent. Pretty much top 5, top 10 across the board here. 8th in yards per play, 3rd in success rate, 2nd in EPA, 3rd in DVOA. Great numbers against the run, great numbers against the pass. But here's the thing when it comes to the Chargers defense. It's basically the exact opposite of the Cardinals defense. Who have the Chargers played offensively? The Raiders, they're 29th in offensive DVOA. The Panthers, they're 27th. The Steelers, they're 23rd. Denver, they're 26th. Now, Kansas City's in there. Outside of the Chiefs game, the Chargers have not played a single decent offense. So, of course, their defensive numbers look elite. And look, I'm not trying to say that the Chargers defense is secretly bad, but are we really going to sit here and be like, oh, the Chargers defense is great, the Cardinals defense is terrible? Look at who they played. Look at their opponents. Put them next to each other. Who knows what the Chargers defensive numbers would look like this year if they played that schedule? I don't know. I'm not saying the Chargers defense is bad. I'm just saying I'm not throwing you a parade for shutting down the Raiders, the Panthers, the Steelers, and the Broncos. Those are some bad offenses. And another thing about the Chargers defense, kind of trending in the wrong direction here. They racked up some really elite-looking numbers through the first two games against the Raiders and the Bryce Young Panthers. Just 6.5 points allowed per game. They were allowing less than a touchdown per game, 5.1 yards per play, 30.7% success rate. Looking elite. This defense was on fire. Look at the 3 games since then. Sure, 17.7 points allowed per game looks good. 6.3 yards per play isn't great. 48.7% success rate isn't great. That was against Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Denver. So again, do we really think this Chargers defense is elite? And another thing, the Cardinals are going to be running the ball. Have the Chargers played a single offense that could run the ball? Look at their opponents. Let's bring them back up. Las Vegas, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Denver. None of those teams can run the ball. So they're going on the road to Arizona to play a Cardinals offense that was number 1 in the NFL in terms of rushing efficiency last year, and they haven't seen a single offense that can run the ball yet. I don't know. If you ask me, that's a little bit concerning. And in terms of stopping Kyler Murray in the passing attack, I mean, I'm not the hugest Kyler Murray fan, but he should have time to throw here. The Chargers pass rush has been really disappointing. 26th in pressure rate, 26th in pass rush grade, and the Cardinals offensive line has done a great job in pass protection. Top 10 across the board. So Kyler Murray should have time to throw here. By the way, Joey Bosa listed as doubtful. He's most likely going to play. I feel like he never plays, though. I don't know how much that moves the needle. So yeah, I mean, I think Kyler Murray's going to have time to throw as well. So in terms of placing a bet, I mean, how do we not take the Cardinals here at home, coming off a terrible game in the bad weather in Green Bay where they couldn't stop fumbling? Now they go back home against a Chargers defense that I think is overrated. I'm a little worried about the line. Seems a little sketchy. I would imagine it's going to be a pretty public home dog here, but I got to take the Cardinals. I think they win this game. So give me Arizona plus 1.5. I'm on the cards here. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see all mine as well as everyone else on the staff here. Also, if you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with the daily betting reports, access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 on one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through both these games. We'll talk about some playoff. There might not be playoff baseball, by the way. Mets are losing right now. But yeah, we'll see. NBA's in 2 days. So the live show is 4 p.m. every day once NBA starts. As far as the live show tomorrow, we'll probably just do the 2 NFL games. I'm not sure what else is on. So that'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Please remember to bet responsibly. Talk to you later.